The house was quiet. Just after 8:30, my daughter asleep upstairs, the soft hum of the dishwasher in the background. I'd poured a bourbon, settled into the leather armchair in my office, and opened the crossword I never finished that morning. Outside, late October, wind scraped against the windows, peaceful, in that hard-earned way. Then the phone rang. Unknown number. Local area code. I let it ring twice, 3 times. Something told me to pick up. Mr. Halden? The voice on the other end was strained, brittle. It's Eric. Eric Toms. I was the photographer at Riley's birthday. Yes? I sat up straighter, already uneasy. Is something wrong? A pause. Static on the line. Then, I need to see you. In person. Tonight, if you can. I know it's late, but it's important. What kind of important? Another pause. The kind that makes your chest tighten. It's the photos, Eric said. There's something in them. Something I didn't notice until I started editing. He broke off, exhaling hard. Please. Just come to the studio. I'll explain everything there. The silence in the room stretched. My eyes flicked to the framed photo on the bookshelf, Riley with icing on her chin. Mid-laugh. The party had been perfect. Backyard balloons, friends from school, cupcakes, and a magician who'd been worth every dollar. No crying, no tantrums, not even a scraped knee. What did you see? I asked. I can't tell you over the phone, he said. You wouldn't believe me anyway. Please, Mr. Halden. Come alone. He gave the address his downtown workspace near the train tracks and hung up before I could say yes or no. I sat there a long time, phone still in my hand. Bourbon, untouched. Dishwasher still humming. Then I stood, got my coat, and left without telling anyone where I was going. Eric's studio was a converted warehouse behind a boarded-up bakery and a chain-link fence lined with wind-blown plastic bags. The streetlights flickered as I pulled up. Inside, the windows were dark, except for a single slit of light at the base of the heavy metal door. I knocked once. Eric opened the door with shaking hands, pale and blinking like he hadn't slept. He looked thinner than I remembered, less clean-cut, more frayed at the edges. Thanks for coming, he said, stepping aside quickly. Lock the door. I hesitated, then did what he asked. The studio smelled like dust and printer toner. Canvases leaned against every wall. Weddings, maternity shots, birthday parties. Life, captured in high definition. All of it. Ordinary. Bright. But the tension in Eric's body said tonight wasn't about anything ordinary. He led me to a back room with a desk and a large monitor. A coffee cup sat untouched beside the keyboard. He clicked the mouse once, and the screen lit up. These are from Saturday, he said. I'd just finished culling the shots. Nothing strange at first until I looked at the background. The first image loaded. Riley and her friends blowing out candles. Everyone smiling. Next photo, kids chasing balloons across the grass. Third, Riley, with her mother, laughing. All normal. Then Eric zoomed in. In the far background, barely framed by the sliding glass door, stood a man, blurred, almost out of focus, but tall, still. Watching, Eric clicked to another image, different angle, this time from the yard. Same man, standing behind an upstairs window, curtains drawn, but his shape unmistakable, unmoving. That window's in the guest room, I said. It was locked. No one's been in there for months. Eric didn't look at me, just kept clicking. Next photo taken from the magician's performance. Children circled on the grass. In the upper corner, on the deck behind the grill, the man. Again. Face still indistinct. Watching. He's in 15 different photos, Eric said. Different angles, different times. Always in the background, always watching. And the strange part? There's no one like him on the guest list. I stared at the screen. At the shape that didn't belong. You see him too? Eric whispered. I did. Eric zoomed in again. The image sharpened just enough to give the figure shape. Male. Gaunt. Dressed in black jacket, shirt, pants. Everything dark except for a sliver of white where the collar gaped open. The face was still obscured, but not by shadow or blur. It was like the lens refused to focus on him. The features hovered in that space between recognizable and impossible. Blank. Almost. Unreadable. He's not a guest, Eric said, voice tight. I checked the raw timestamps. This one. He pulled up a frame from the kitchen window. Riley and her friends grabbing juice boxes. Was taken at 2:11 p.m. He flipped to another. Same kids, now running outside. This one, 2:13. But look, in the first, the figure was outside, behind the hedge. In the second, he was visible in the reflection of the hallway mirror inside the house. Same posture, same clothes, no motion blur. Just there. That's impossible, I said. Eric nodded. I thought so too. So I tried recreating it. I went back to your house yesterday to double-check the angles. You'd need to be sprinting. And even then, there's no way to get from the hedge to the hallway without being seen. Not without someone noticing. But nobody saw him. Did they? I didn't answer. He pulled up another set. Riley, sitting on her mother's lap, face sticky with cake. The figure was inside again, watching from the corner of the dining room mirror. He wasn't reflected. He was there. Half his body in the frame, the other half cut off like he'd stepped into the photo by accident. Did you Photoshop this? I asked finally. Eric's face twisted. No. I don't even edit the raw selects before sorting. These are untouched. And it gets worse. No. 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 He opened a metadata panel. File names, timestamps, coordinates. All matched. No discrepancies. No cloning. No layering. Every image had that digital fingerprint, unaltered. I looked back at the screen. The figure was always watching. Always just behind something glass, a curtain, a child's shoulder. I didn't know what I was looking at, but I took the flash drive when Eric offered it. Slipped it into my pocket with a hand that wasn't entirely steady. I didn't know what I believed, but I knew what I'd seen, and I needed to see it in my own house. I got home just before midnight. The house was dark, save for the porch light. Riley insisted on keeping on, so the stars don't get lonely, she always said. My wife was asleep. The hallway was silent. I stepped quietly past Riley's room, down the back corridor toward the guest room, the one in the photo. We never used it. It had become a kind of storage closet over the years, filled with forgotten boxes and holiday decorations. The door stuck a little, and the key had been missing for as long as I could remember. But in that photo, the one from the second-floor balcony, the figure had been standing right behind that window, inside. I reached for the handle. Locked. Exactly as it should be. I went to the garage, grabbed a flathead screwdriver, and jimmied the latch. The door creaked open with a slow groan. The air inside hit me first stale, heavy. Not musty like a sealed room. More like something had lived there. I flipped on the light. Boxes were stacked against the far wall. Old Halloween bins. Tinsel. A vacuum we'd replaced years ago. But the carpet had scuff marks fresh. A drag line across the beige, from the window to the closet. I stepped carefully. There was a faint smell in the air. Metallic. Sweet. And sour. Like something rotting beneath citrus. In the corner, near the wall, I saw it. A cigarette butt. Burned down to the filter. We don't smoke. No one who came to the party smokes. I crouched beside it. The faint ash smudged into the carpet like a signature. The closet door creaked when I opened it. Empty. mostly. But the dust inside had been disturbed. Someone had been in there recently. Very recently. I stood in the center of the room, staring at the window. From this angle, you could see the entire backyard. The party, the kids, and whoever had stood here had done exactly that. Watched. Unseen. I backed out slowly, pulling the door closed behind me. I didn't lock it. Whatever had been in that room, it hadn't come in through the front door, and it didn't need a key to come back. Sunday morning, I sat at the kitchen table with a yellow notepad and a headache that felt like it had settled behind my right eye with a purpose. Riley was at a friend's sleepover. My wife, Dana, was upstairs folding laundry. The silence gave me space, but not comfort. I listed every guest from Riley's party. 23 in total. 11 kids. 12 adults. All accounted for names, connections, RSVPs. Except one. Do you remember if anyone unexpected showed up? I asked Dana, when she came down, arms full of towels. She frowned, thinking. No. Everyone who said they were coming came. Why? There's a man in the photos. Someone we didn't invite. She gave a half laugh. What? Like a photo bomber? Not exactly. I didn't explain further. She went quiet, set the towels down. There was someone I invited. Vaguely. It was probably nothing. She pulled a mug from the cabinet, filled it from the Keurig. There's this guy from work, Nathan. I haven't seen him in years. He sent a message on Facebook when I posted the invite. Said he was in town. I told him to stop by if he wanted. Did he? No, she said slowly. I don't think so. You didn't see him. I didn't look for him. I wrote down his name. Nathan? No last name remembered. Just a maybe. Later that afternoon, I drove to Liz Kennedy's house, Riley's best friend's mom. We sat on her porch while the girls played in the backyard. I asked, gently, if Liz had noticed anything strange during the party. She said no. Just cake. Noise. A few scraped knees. But when Riley came back inside for water, I asked her the same question. Casually. She nodded without hesitation. There was a man, she said. In the hallway. He looked lost. I thought he was someone's dad. Did you tell anyone? She shook her head. He didn't talk to me, just watched. Her voice was too calm for how cold it made me feel. Could you describe him? She thought for a moment. Black coat. Like, long. No hat. He had a face. But not really. She shrugged. He didn't blink. That's when I stopped writing. Monday night, after Dana went to bed, I pulled the old hard drive out of the linen closet and dusted it off. I'd installed the camera system 2 years ago, mostly for peace of mind. 4 cameras: front door, backyard, side gate, and hallway. The software was clunky but functional. I loaded the party date. June 17th. The first thing I noticed was the gaps. The system showed motion-activated clips, hundreds of files. But when I sorted them by time, entire sections were missing. Noon to 1:15 gone, 2:45 to 3:30 corrupted. The files were there, but wouldn't play. Black screens, scrambled pixels, audio hissing like an untuned radio. I clicked through what was left. At 1:21 p.m., a clip from the backyard. Children running past the camera, chasing balloons. The movement triggers a burst of recording. In the lower left corner of the frame, by the hedge, something stands still. Not someone. Something. It didn't move. Not once. It stood like it had been there long before the party started. Long coat. Pale face. No clear features. 30 seconds of movement. Then the camera cut. The figure never turned. Never flinched. Next clip. 1:36 p.m. Kids near the inflatable slide. The figure now behind the shed. I clicked through clip after clip. Same pattern. He never moved in the frame. He simply was in it. Different places. Different angles. like he was cutting through space without crossing the in-between. I tried the front door feed. At 12:03, Dana's sister arrives. Greeting. Hugs. Normal. 12:07. A man in a black coat walks past the driveway. No one turns to see him. Not Dana. Not her sister. No one. 1:59 p.m. Hallway camera. Dana's aunt walks toward the bathroom. After she passes, the feed picks up again. The man stands in the corner, arms at his sides, face blank. Then the screen glitches. I tried to enhance the footage, freeze the frames, sharpen the pixels. Nothing helped. His face remained wrong. Too smooth. Not blurred, just wrong. I sat back in my chair and stared at the screen. He never entered. He never left. But he was everywhere. I called the police Tuesday morning. Sat in my truck outside the station for 15 minutes before I walked in. Brought printouts of the photos, the security screenshots, a folder of notes I'd labeled Incident. June 17. I'd practiced how to explain it without sounding insane. Tried to keep my voice measured, rational. The desk officer took my name, then called over someone from community support. A younger guy with a clipboard and a tie that didn't fit right. I laid it all out. The photos, the footage, the figure that didn't belong. He nodded a lot. Wrote things down. Never looked at the images longer than 5 seconds. Could be a neighbor walking by? He offered. In the hallway? He blinked. Could be a glitch. These systems, consumer grade, they drop frames, overlay data. I showed him the figure appearing in 2 places at once. Still nodding. He gave me a tired smile. We've had a few calls like this lately. With those AI filters, facial recognition errors, it messes with perception. Doesn't mean someone's stalking your family. I asked if they could send someone to check the house. He scribbled something. We'll log it, sir. But unless there's a direct threat, no one was harmed. You understand. I left without the folder. They didn't ask for it. Back home, I paced the kitchen. Dana was at work, Riley at school. The house felt off-kilter, like a painting hung crooked no one else noticed. I couldn't sit still, so I looked into Eric, typed his name into every browser. Social site, reverse lookup, Eric Toms, studio on 4th and Lenox. Yelp reviews all 5 stars. Captured our wedding perfectly. Patient with our toddler. Would trust him with anything. I searched harder. Background check sites. Public records. Nothing. No debt. No criminal history. No strange blog posts. Just a quiet guy with a Nikon and a mortgage. I called 2 people who'd reviewed him. Both confirmed their sessions. Both spoke of him like an old friend. No one had anything bad to say. This wasn't a setup. Whatever this was, Eric hadn't orchestrated it. And that meant the man in the photos wasn't a trick. He was real, and I'd seen him before. That night, I dreamed of the pond again. Still. Dark. Cattails blowing sideways in a wind I couldn't feel. And a boy. Blonde hair. 1 sock. Missing. It always started the same. My brother was 8 when he disappeared. His name was Caleb. Vanished during my 10th birthday party. One moment he was by the swing set. Next moment, gone. No scream. No footsteps. Just absence. I'd buried it. Or tried to. My parents divorced 2 years later. My father moved to Arizona. My mother changed the subject whenever his name came up. I'd learned not to ask. But seeing that figure, tall, dark coat, standing just out of frame, something in me cracked open. I dug out the old photo box from the attic the next morning, the one I hadn't touched in 20 years. Tucked in a brittle envelope was a strip of Polaroids from that birthday. I flipped through them, hands cold despite the summer heat. In one, kids around a cake, me in a paper hat. Caleb mid-laugh. But in the background, near the tree line, behind the picnic table, there was a shape. Tall, blurred, face indistinct. I brought the photo to the light. It was the same silhouette, same posture, same presence. Impossible. I remembered a man who lived 2 doors down from us. Leonard Witt. He had long gray hair, always wore a coat even in July. Watched the neighborhood from his porch. He died the winter after Caleb vanished. Hit by a car, they said. But I remembered something else, whispers. My mother crying in the kitchen. A detective in our living room. My father yelling. I Googled his name, found an archived newspaper scan from 1994. Local man. Dies. Amid ongoing investigation. Into missing child. The article was vague. No direct evidence. Community concern. Unrelated. Say. Police. There was no photo, but I didn't need one. The man in the birthday pictures looked exactly like Leonard Witt, but he hadn't aged. Not in 30 years. Not a wrinkle. Not a hair out of place. And now, he was standing in my daughter's party photos. As if he'd never left. As if he'd been waiting. The email came from a guest I barely remembered. Melissa Tran. She was the mother of one of Riley's classmates. Evan or Eli. I couldn't recall which. Subject line. You might want to see these. She'd attached 5 JPEGs, casual candids she'd snapped at the party with her mirrorless. No filters, no edits. I opened them slowly. The first showed Riley and a group of kids on the lawn, cake smudged across their cheeks. Nothing odd. The second, Dana holding a sparkler, looking down at her phone. And there, in the upper right corner, blurred by motion, but unmistakable the figure. He stood halfway up the stairs, turned toward the camera. The third image was worse. The figure again, this time behind the sliding glass door. The angle was perfect. Not just the posture, not just the coat, the face. He was looking directly into the lens. Emotionless. Eyes dark, unmoving. A face I'd only seen in memory. I forwarded the image to a contact I knew from work. Liam Carver, a forensic tech who moonlighted as a digital consultant. I didn't explain. Just asked him to enhance the facial region and tell me what he saw. He called back, 2 hours later. Mark, he said, you need to tell me where you got this. Why? Because the enhancements brought back a match from an old facial recognition dataset. It pinged on a missing person of interest file, Leonard Witt. Died 1998. Age 62. I didn't answer. Only, Liam said quietly. This face doesn't look 62. It doesn't look a day over 40. The next day, a local reporter reached out a woman named Julia Barr. Eric had contacted her, off the record. She met me at a diner. Brought clippings. Yellowed prints. You're not the only one, she said. This has happened before. I've been collecting accounts for years. Families around this city. Always the same pattern photographs. A figure. No one recognizes. Tall. Watching. Always around birthdays. Or disappearances. She slid a folder across the table. Photos from different decades. Different families. Same face. You see it, don't you? I nodded slowly. She leaned in. These aren't ghosts. They're something else. Something older. Something that waits. The night Riley turned 10 and a half, she woke us up screaming. I bolted from bed, Dana close behind me. We found her at the window, pointing. Tears streaked her face, her hand trembling. He was out there, she whispered. The man with the coat. He was just standing there, watching. I ran outside barefoot, yard drenched in moonlight. But there was no one. Just the wind, moving the trees. Just silence. We didn't sleep. The next day I replaced the locks. Checked the basement, attic, even the crawl space. All empty. Nothing but dust and old insulation. Still, the house felt smaller. like something else had moved in and wasn't making itself known. That weekend, the power flickered. Lights blinked. The alarm system glitched. The app logged false triggers. On the exterior cameras, motion detected, then nothing in the playback. Dana asked if we should get it serviced. I said I'd handle it. I didn't. That Sunday night, I stayed up, sat in my office, with the lights off, staring out the window into the backyard. I didn't expect to see anything. At 2:47 a.m., he stepped out from behind the oak tree. No sound, no movement. 1 second he wasn't there. The next he was. The figure stood perfectly still, coat buttoned tight, hands at his sides. He didn't approach, didn't wave, just watched. The same way he had in the photos. I stood slowly, walked to the glass. My breath fogged it slightly. He didn't blink, didn't react, but somehow, I knew he saw me. I wanted to speak, to scream, to ask him what he was, but I didn't. I closed the curtain instead. The next morning, Riley brought me her camera, a Polaroid she'd taken in the hallway while playing with her dolls. "Look, Daddy," she said. "I got a picture of you." I took it from her. There I was, standing at the end of the hall. My back turned, but behind me, no more than 2 feet away, stood the man in the black coat. Closer than ever, not watching me, facing me. The photo shook in my hand. Not from the cold, not from fear, from the knowledge that he hadn't come for the photo, he'd come for what was left. This story was intense. But this story on the right-hand side is even more insane.